Thanks a lot for taking this interview with us. So what was the decisive moment to transform the Journal of Informatics to QSS, Quantitative Science Studies?
The main reason to start a new journal was the unwillingness of Elsevier, the publisher of Journal of Informatics, to support the initiative for open citations. Elsevier declined to make the reference list of articles published in Journal of Informatics openly available in Crossref. This was especially problematic because many of the authors publishing in Journal of Informatics were bibliometricians for whom citation data is essential for their research. We had extensive discussions about this issue with Elsevier, but it gradually became clear that Elsevier wouldn't change its position. At that point, the entire editorial board of Journal of Informatics decided to resign and to launch a new journal, Quantitative Science Studies.
How did you initiate the transformation to open access, and what was the procedure like?
In an early stage, we made the decision that we wanted Quantitative Science Studies to be a community-governed open access journal, and we decided that this could best be organized if the journal is owned by the scholarly society in our field, the International Society for Scientometrics and Informatics. The ISSI Society then approached multiple publishers and publishing platforms to explore different models for publishing quantitative science studies. The most attractive offer was made by MIT Press, and the Society therefore decided to publish the journal in collaboration with MIT Press. MIT Press offered a lot of flexibility in setting up the new journal, and unlike Elsevier, they of course were in full support of making reference lists and other metadata openly available.
And did you encounter any challenges during the process?
I think we didn't encounter any major challenges, but there were some smaller ones. As a new journal, Quantitative Science Studies is not yet indexed in Web of Science and Scopus, and the journal does not yet have an impact factor. For some authors, this makes it difficult to publish in the journal, especially for those working in countries in which researchers are evaluated based on impact factors. Another challenge was the level of coordination required for the transformation. Coordination was needed between the editors and the 30 editorial board members that resigned from the old journal, and we also needed to coordinate with the ISSI Society, MIT Press and Elsevier, and with authors of articles submitted to the old journals and reviewers of these articles. As you can imagine, this was a major time investment. Finally, we wanted to make sure that everyone can publish in quantitative science studies, including authors that are unable to pay the APC of $600. This meant that the journal needed significant funding, which also created some challenges.
Yes, I can imagine that finances was one of the tasks you needed to manage. So how did you handle the funding of the journal?
We have worked together with the Fair Open Access Alliance to obtain funding for quantitative science studies. The Fair Open Access Alliance approached the TIB library in Germany, and TIB was willing to provide a significant subsidy to the journal to cover APC payments for authors that are unable to pay APCs themselves. We are really grateful to TIB for this important support in the startup phase of the journal. We are also very happy with the flexibility offered by MIT Press in setting up quantitative science studies. This flexibility has enabled us to organize the journal in a cost-effective way and to have an APC that is much lower than for many other open access journals. I also want to emphasize that many members of the scientific community have invested significant amounts of time in the new journal. Everyone has done this on a purely voluntary basis without expecting to be paid for this.
Looking back, what are the lessons learned for you, and what were important criteria for the successful transformation?
For me, the main lesson learned is that you need to be willing to invest a significant amount of time in setting up a new journal. You partly need this time to take care of all kinds of practical issues. But what is even more time-consuming is the communication needed to make sure the community is in full support of the move and has a good understanding of why it is done. Together with colleagues, I have invested quite a lot of time in this, and I think this has been essential for the successful start of quantitative science studies. However, I also want to encourage researchers not to feel intimidated by this. If you have a small group of dedicated colleagues that agree there is a need for a new journal and that are willing to invest time in this, then I believe you have the main ingredient needed to successfully launch such a new journal.
Thanks a lot for sharing your expertise with us.